Hey guys, this is Luke with Luke F1 Fantasy coming back to you with another video. First video of the week following the Miami Grand Prix. So I just wanted to do a little bit different today before I get into my team strategy thoughts for Imola. I just wanted to sort of take this gap week in between the next race just to take a little bit of a stock, a little bit of an analysis on the previous 3 weeks. So we're going to be talking a little bit about team performances, strategies, meta teams, chip usage, and things like that. So stay tuned. We're now 6 races into the F1 Fantasy season, but I really think the last 3 races have, completely flipped the script, so to say. We were starting out in Bahrain, which was 3 races ago. And there was a dominant meta team that was being touted, and it had a Piastri, Behrman, Hadjar, Ocon, and McLaren. But taking a look back into teams around that time, they sort of splintered into 2 distinct builds. We had one core build that stuck with Mercedes and Doohan, or another former version of a B-tier driver, but I think Doohan was the more popular one at that point. However, another team sort of pivoted into a Russell and Haas team. So Bahrain was kind of like that first race where budgets had improved enough that teams could afford a premium A-tier driver like Piastri and pair them with 2 premium A-tier constructors. But like I said, some sort of jumped straight into it, and some sort of wanted to play a little bit of the slower game and went with the budget building options. So maybe those were teams that kind of suffered the most from Australia. But I didn't go too far into the analysis for that, but just sort of focusing on the last 3. So after Bahrain, then came 2 key races, Saudi Arabia and Miami. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves in chip territory. Limitless was being thrown around. No Negative came into play. And this meta team that we thought was going to be quite boring and kind of going from week to week, and we're all on it, and how's this game going to work? Is it going to be any fun? All of a sudden, we came into diverging strategies, budget plays, and we got the much needed variety that we were looking for. So today we're going to take a closer look, which direction paid off, did the chips help, and who actually is in the best shape now that the meta's been broken.
All right, so let's introduce the 3 contenders that we're tracking today. Now, there are some similarities between the teams that we've discussed, but here are the main sort of differences. Now, Team A had a team of Mercedes, started off with Jack Doohan. There may have been some slight changes of that afterwards, but this is the team that largely went with using 1 chip, the No Negative, in Miami. We also went with a Team B that also started with Mercedes and Doohan in Bahrain, then may have swapped into another sort of B-tier driver of the same level. But generally, that team went into using 2 chips, the Limitless in Saudi and the No Negative in Miami. And then we have Team C that differentiated from that 2A constructor, and they went with a Russell and Haas build, and then used their Limitless chip in Miami. So each team took a different path. Some went aggressive with chips, others sort of banked their budget a little bit. So we're going to see how that played out now. So if we jump into the raw data, and you can sort of see here, I have Team A. Team A, which was my actual team, scored 276 points. They would have scored 286, but I had to take a -10 transfer because I needed to make 4 transfers to get into that meta team. So 276. Team B kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt, gave them the full 286. But as you can see, Team C in Bahrain crushed both those teams by about 9 points and scored 295. From a budget perspective, A and B scored increased by 2.9, and the Russell Haas team beat them both by 3.3. Then the diversion happened in Saudi. So my team, as I played it, didn't do any chips, made that change from Doohan to Gasly, ended up scoring 207 points with a budget rise of 1.5. We had Team B that went with the Limitless chip, crushed it with a total score of 330, but lost a little bit of budget compared to my team at 1.3. And the Team C kind of stuck with their budget building option, looking to plan for Limitless in Miami. Still outscored my team by 2 points with 209, and again beat my team's budget by 0.8, scoring a 2.3 increase. Moving into Miami, my team went with a no negative chip, scored 324, only saw a gain of 0.3 million. Team B also did a no negative, saw a very similar result. But the Team C again played Limitless in Miami because they were set up very well from Saudi, scored 393 and just crushed the budget against both teams with 1.5. So that leaves us with totals of Team A scoring 807 points, Team B 940, 897. So Team B definitely wins it on points. However, when we look at the budget, Team B is lagging behind at 4.5. Team A is slightly better at 4.7, but Team C has just gone off the charts with their budget increase and got to a massive 7.1 million rise over 3 races, which is just unreal. So for those of you out there that have played Team C, you must be feeling very happy with your budget gains at this moment in time. So if you're one of those teams, drop a like, drop a comment, and let me know who you are, because I want to give some kudos to you for that. So it may be easy to look at this and think, well, Team B scored the most points, so they win. But does that really tell us the full story? What I wanted to do was create a normalized score so we can fairly compare the teams, because budget and points is important to help our teams for future success. So as I looked at that, I figured, well, let's still give a weighting system at 80% to the points and 20% to the budget. That was just my opinion. That's just how I just went with it. In order to normalize the points, I did a little bit of math. Math's definitely not my strongest point. Definitely used a little bit of ChatGPT to help me assist. But ultimately, there's a 3-step process to collecting the normalized score. First, we have to normalize the points. So we take the highest scoring team, give them a value of 100, and then calculate everyone else's points as a percentage of that. So for example, if Team B scores 930 points, which is the highest in that category, they get a score of 100. To then work out how Team C scores relative to that, we take Team C's score of 897, we divide that by 930, times by 100 to get a score of 96.5. And we do that for Team A as well. Next, we also do the same process for the budget gain. So if Team C had the highest budget gain at 7.1 million, they get the score of 100%. To work out Team B's relative score to that, well, Team B had a price rise of 4.5 million. Therefore, we take 4.5, we divide that by the 7.1, times it by 100, gives us a score of 64%. Then we apply the weighting system to that. So given points, a weighting system of 80% and budget of 20%. So ultimately, the sort of formula looks like this. The final score is equal to normalized points times 0.8 plus the normalized budget times 0.2. And the hope is at the end of this, it gives each team a single comparable score to show who's really ahead, or at least to sort of compare the 3 strategies. And here are the results. So Team A comes in with a normalized score of 83.1. Team B comes in with a normalized score of 92.9. And Team C comes in with a normalized score of 97.2. So what this really shows to me is that Team C is by and far the clear winner of their strategy over the last 3 weeks. The budget gains at this moment in time are giving them the edge overall, and they still have one chip in hand. Team B did rack up the most points, but they have used 2 of their chips, so they're losing less of their tools for later on in the season. But it can be argued that the ability to use Limitless earlier on in the season is the most sort of optimum strategy for that. So they did use it the earliest, and they have the points to sort of show for that. Team A is definitely lagging behind and has not been the most optimized strategy over the last 3 weeks. This is my team, so I'm definitely putting myself in this category. But only 1 chip used, the no negative, and still have the Limitless chip in hand, and it could pay off later. But the earlier use of Limitless can be smart before the budgets balloon and teams can afford top lineups without chips. But it remains to see if that's the case, especially with budget building seemingly coming to a little bit of a halt. So we're only a quarter away into the season, but the strategy is already splitting, and I think that's great for the F1 fantasy world at this moment in time. If I was to look at this again, I think I would much rather be in Team C position with their points position, the points that they've gained, and the budget that they've gained. So if I did it all again, Team C from this analysis would be the one that I would choose. So I think there's 2 main takeaways from here. It's not just about chasing points. It's really about building that team value and understanding your assets and how they are scoring their points. Is it from assets that are having spike weeks and you're able to sort of time getting off and on those assets, timing their budgets as best as you can? Or is it about just kind of picking assets that you know are going to be consistently sort of solid performers and are getting you points? And if you're not really looking to sell the assets right away, does it really matter about the budget over a 1 race? You know, if you think about it, should we be looking at this thinking, should I be thinking about buying an asset for 3 weeks? Now, of course, things could change depending on their scores and the 3 rolling average. But it's just something to kind of start to think about, is think like, well, if maybe we should be holding assets for 2 weeks and looking at their budget gain that they could get you over 2 weeks as opposed to just 1 week. And does that open up some more team options for us, especially when we can think about assets that are trying to get us the points? We're also looking at the chip strategies and trying to almost react to what we're seeing on the weekend. Like, it's easy to sort of go through the week thinking about, let's play this chip and if this looks like a good week for it, but we really don't know about that chip until we really get some idea of what the field is shaking out. So free practices, sprint qualifying, getting a much more informed look at what those assets could likely do for that week. And a prime example is the no negative chip in Miami. It really was on the cards because of the weather reports, but it really wasn't a slam dunk until we saw Charles Leclerc just hit the wall. And then even then, you played the no negative, and even then, the rain didn't really affect the rest of the field after that. It was all mechanical DNF. So definitely just be flexible with your chip usage. Try not to sort of just be forced to play them. So I just would like to know what your thoughts are on this video. Which strategy did you go for? Are you happy with the way it went for you? Which way would you, if you were to do it all again, which way would you go? We're only a quarter into the season, but the strategies are already splitting, and I think that's really fun. So let us know in your comments. We will catch you on the next one. My next few videos next week will probably be more about my team strategies and team thoughts. But until then, have a good weekend, and we'll see you on the next one.